Happy Friday, everybody. As I had promised, I was going to continue with the second part of the Smollett story. I couldn't even get to the story because I just had to get into what a Smollett is. And we've already identified after the first story that a Smollett isn't a mullet. It is somebody who's got a very small head. And never in the history of life or in the history of Chicago have they ever seen a Smollett before. They can handle a mullet, but they can't handle a Smollett. And so now we're just going to get into what had happened that night on January 29th. The night that Chicago will never be the same again. That night that has completely baffled, the police chief of Chicago. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can to get through the nonsense of January 29th. Just for people that have issues with the facts, I'm just going to go over what the Smollett had done. What did Jussie Smollett do? And as we have already ascertained, it's only something that Jussie Smollett could do. Because Smollett's do what Smollett's do, and he's legit Smollett. Patron saint of really small heads. On the night of January 29th, it was an amazing night. It was a very cold night in Chicago. And according to Jussie Smollett, you can't really see people in Chicago because it's cold. You have to think like a Smollett. On January 29th, apparently he got off a plane, like other people did on January 29th. He went home on January 29th, because that's what you do when you get off a plane. In these moments right here, we can understand that Jussie Smollett might be a part of the human race. But we are going to enter the point where we realize that perhaps maybe he's not really a part of the human race. What happened after that? He went home. He realized he was hungry. He went straight home. He left his apartment, went to a pharmacy, and then after he went to Subway's, because Subway's open at 24/7. And when he got home, after he got home, he went to Subway's because that was a walking distance from his house, and he got a salad. Jussie Smollett, the Smollett, got a salad. Jussie Smollett got a salad. And that should have been the entire story. He had spoken to his manager. In fact, he had spoken to his manager and letting his manager know that he was going to go get this salad. And apparently, I don't really understand, but he was also still on the phone with his manager. I don't know where his manager was in terms of the salad. But anyway, so he purchased the salad and he crosses the street. And then two huge beasts of humans. I mean, if you have seen pictures of these people, they are Nigerian white supremacists from Africa. Part of the alt-right tiki-torching Steve Bannon apologists were following him because we all know that Nigerians are about the white supremacist Nigerian alt-right, clan. Makes total sense to everyone else, to no one, but it makes sense to Jussie. Anyways, he's on his way. He was wearing skinny jeans and he was wearing white Gucci sneakers, and he's like a skinny guy, Anyways, as he's crossing the street, he hears two people scream, "Empire! Empire! Empire!" Right? And Jussie Smollett, this is 2 a.m. If someone screamed "Empire" at me 3 times, I think I would turn around. He did not turn around when he heard "Empire" being screamed at him at three times, because as Jussie explains, who would call him Empire? He is not Empire. Jussie has the name. If you're going to scream at him at 2 a.m, you should scream, "Jussie! Jussie! Jussie!" That is really where the story should really be. People should start asking questions at that moment of the story. But let's just see what happens. After this moment, they said something derogatory towards Jussie, and he was offended. And he turns around and looks at these huge Nigerian guys. Have you seen a picture of these guys? These are probably the biggest men that you have ever seen. I mean, they are the size of each guy individually is the size of a Mack truck / a house. I mean, if they told you they ate barbells for lunch, you'd believe them. Roid rage is life for these guys. They are the biggest, hugest men you've ever seen. And Jussie Smollett turns around, looks at these guys that are apparently ready to fight. Hugest men you've ever seen. And he basically says to them, what the fuck do you want from me? Anyone else would have ran for their lives, but not Jussie Smollett, because the patron saint of the small heads operates in very different ways. He they're antagonizing him. Jussie Smollett antagonizes back. What do you want? Who the fuck are you? Why are you talking to me this way? The next thing, one of these alt-right white supremacist Nigerians from Africa, tiki torching Steve Bannon apologist, punches Jussie Smollett in the face. Boom. I would think for any other person punched in the face by a tiki torching white supremacist Nigerian alt-right Mr. Olympian guy, they would have hit the floor and maybe they would have even died. I mean, the power of that punch was at least the power of 100 countries. It was a punch. Jussie Smollett, being the superhero of his own story, gets up and punches the guy back. Well, how do you think that went down? Jussie describes it as he found himself in a tussle. And he was tussling with these Nigerians. You can't tussle with, with an elephant. These were two people the size of fucking elephants beating the shit out of him, according to Jussie. And one of these Nigerians, and these are, by the way, alt-right, white supremacist Nigerians from Africa, Steve Bannon apologists. They're brothers. They're called the Onsendario brothers. And we have Ambimbola and we have Ola Binjo. So Ambimbola, I think, was punching him from the front. And Ola Binjo, which are definitely amazing names for white supremacist black Nigerians from Africa, Steve Bannon apologists, tiki torching Trump supporters. One was punching the guy from the front, let's say Ambimbola, from Nigeria. And the other guy was kicking Jussie Smollett from the back. Let's say that's Ola Binjo. Anyways, Jussie Smollett, apparently according to Jussie Smollett, this whole event took place in about, he says it felt like 30 seconds, but he feels that it was 45 seconds. That isn't even the weirdest part of the story. Anyways, they're beating the shit out of him. The Osendaro, brothers. Abimbola's taking him from the front. Ala Binjo is punching him from the back. God even knows. All of a sudden, like magic, poof, the Osendaro brothers disappear. And they did not steal his money. They did not steal his cell phone. And they didn't even take the fucking Smollett Subway salad. Mystery unto itself. And for whatever reason, his cell phone that obviously left his fucking hands, the Smollett hands, cell phone was on the ground. And his manager was still on it. And his manager says to him, "What's going on?" Which is an insane question considering the Osendaro brothers were beating the shit out of him for 45 minutes. So Smollett starts talking to his manager. Well, you'll never believe it. I was beat up by these, it's hard to believe, but I was beat up by these two white supremacists, black Nigerian, African, Steve Bannon apologists, tiki torching MAGA supporters. And then he starts screaming because he realized he had a noose around his neck. So it wasn't the fact that they beat the shit out of him that was the bigger problem. It was the noose. It was the noose, because they weren't just tiki torching Trump heads, they were also noose heads, and they left the noose on him. Couldn't believe what happened. And as our hero, Jussie Smollett, as only Jussie Smollett could, he took himself to the fucking hospital. Everybody else, every other mere mortal would have died. And he took himself to the hospital with the motherfucking noose around his neck. I'm just going to stop the story here, and I will continue tomorrow with the rest of it. For all of you people who think that Jussie Smollett wasn't the victim of his own self-hate crime, I don't know what to tell you. But this is the second part of the Smollett story, and it's one hell of a fucking story. So much so that it got the attention of Donald fucking Trump. So happy Friday, and we will stay tuned to part 3 tomorrow. Thank you.